Hello and welcome back to Tammy's Antique Vintage Dolls and More. Before I go any further with this video, I would like to make a correction for yesterday's video about the Horseman Company. I said 1965 at the beginning of the video. It's actually the Horseman Company started in 1865. Just wanted to clear that up. Anyways, today we're going to be talking about a very important doll in American history. And I find it very interesting, but I also feel very privileged at the same time, and you'll see why as I move along through this video. But anyways, we're going to be talking about the a woman named Sara Lee Creech. She made a doll called the Sara Lee Doll, and I bought one off of eBay, and I wanted one really bad, but I had to be careful how much I spent because they can go quite high in money. But at the same time, I've seen them at very reasonable prices, because it all depends if you're getting them in, buying them in original clothing. And once you do that, you're starting to really get the price. Like, the price does go up quite a bit. So of course mine did not come with the original clothing, but I'm going to later. I haven't owned her very long to get her into the proper clothing I want her in. She's a tinier doll than what I'm used to owning. Like I told you, I do have my smaller dolls. It's just that I find them harder to dress. But I will get her into a nice dress to her time period, or something very close to it. So anyways, let's talk about the history of this doll. This doll holds a lot of history to American history and to the black history. Sara Lee Creech was a white businesswoman and a social activist living in Belle Glade, Florida. She saw two African American girls playing with white dolls. Creech became concerned that they did not have a doll that they could play with that represented them. This is a quote from Sara Lee Creech. "If you do it out of choice, it's fine, but to have no choice, that's wrong." Creech may have been influenced by a child psychologist, Kenneth and Mamie Clark. Their studies showed that in segregated South of the 1930s and the 1940s, children of color chose dolls of lighter complexions over the darker complexion. This showed that by preschool, children of color had accepted society's prejudices regarding skin color. In 1948, Creech wanted to change that. First, she designed a doll with a cloth body, vinyl arms and legs and head. She approached a sculptor named Sheila Burlingame to make the mold for the doll's head. Creech then took her prototypes to a novelist, Zora Neale Hurston, who was impressed with her. Before I go any further, one of the things that I also read earlier about her, that when she made her prototypes, they were just not something that she envisioned. She actually sculpted them from children from the area where she saw them playing with the dolls. So they were actually sculpted from black children, many of their looks and features. So now, to go back to the story here, Creech took her prototypes to a novelist named Zora Neale Hurston, who was impressed that a white woman would take on this project. Hurston mentioned this to Eleanor Roosevelt, for Roosevelt wrote The Ideal Toy Company that this doll would be a great lesson in equality for young children. Other supporters were Dr. Ralph Boucher, Mary McLeod Boothon, and the president of Howard and Moorhead State Universities. All of this support supported production of the doll, but it had not started yet by 1951. Roosevelt wrote again to the Ideal Toy Company, and this time she asked, quote, "Would it be of any help if I hosted a tea to announce the doll?" Now, the Ideal Toy Company accepted this, and the tea party was covered by such prominent magazines as Time, Newsweek, Life, and Ebony. The Sara Lee doll was on the market from 1951 to 53, but it never became a commercial success. Sears carried the doll. Macy's and Saks Fifth Avenue refused, for fear that it would attract too many black customers. Some feel that there were design flaws for why it failed. Over time, the vinyl became hard and stiff, and dye faded and bled into the doll's clothing. This halted the full production of the doll. And when the next production came out of the Sara Lee dolls, they were to be lighter complexion. This setback did not hold Sara Lee Creech, for she continued to work for human rights. She developed daycare centers for migrant farmers in the 50s and 60s. She produced a doll that became a friend to many children. Creech said, She didn't set out to make an African American doll, but an American doll that happens to be black, a doll for all children. Creech died in 2008 at the age of 91. But I would like to also add to this, though, she did make a doll for children, which later, though, led a doll for collectors and to hold a piece of history. What you're seeing in front of you, it says here, the first true colored doll. Dr. Ralph Boucher and Mrs. Eleanor Roosevelt examined the first anthropologically true colored doll to hit the market, called the Sara Lee Negro doll. It was created by a white Southerner, Mrs. Sara Lee Creech. So we'll take a look at her now. I'll take this paper away. And there she is sitting with her little friend. And this is the Sara Lee doll. I'll back up just a little bit. Oh, going the wrong way. There we go. There she is. She's only about a 16-inch doll, very tiny doll. But I think she's beautiful in many ways. I just love the fact that I have her. And in my collection, I think she's a real beauty. I just can't get over her, how beautiful she looks. She does have her, the black features, which I just love. I've always loved black dolls. Even when I was little, I always had quite a few of them in my doll buggies and in my cribs. I couldn't live without a black doll. I was very attracted to them when I was even as a child. There was nothing for me to ask for my dolls to be black. I just thought they were beautiful. So to have this one in my collection, I just feel blessed to have it, and also to own a piece of this type of history, of black history. And I thought I'd share it with everybody here and let everybody see this doll. If you've never heard of her, you have now, and you know, and now you know the history. Our dolls from long ago hold a lot of history to what was going on at the time. I read further things about the Sara Lee doll, why she didn't take off. It was because a lot of discrimination was the big thing. And that's just too bad and sad at the same time, because I think this was needed at the time to help bring some balance and to help children who were black, but also white children, to learn how to accept everybody in this world. I'm glad today in our doll world out there in the toy world that they have dolls of every race, and I think that's very important to have. And again, I am very privileged to have this doll. I'm not going to be dressing her in this dress down the road. This is all I could find in my clothing that I had that was small enough to fit her. But down the road, I want her to, she wore a yellow bonnet with a yellow dress, frilly dress, and I want her back in something very close to that. I think she deserves to be put into the clothing that that was designed for her. If I can find her original clothes, I will. If I can't, I'll come as close as I can. But I hope everybody enjoyed this, and you know, leave your comments below what you think of her, and I hope you got something out of this, and just as much as what I did when I found out her history and everything. But one of the very early black dolls that came out that only was out for a couple years. So if you can get your hands on one, try to. It's worth for your collection to have one in there and to hold a piece of black history. And I hope you have a good day. It's snowing here. We got snow falling, and the crows are out there wanting something to eat. So I got to go feed the crows. So have a good day, and God bless. Bye-bye.